Have you ever had that one friend you just can't fight with? You know the one. You disagree. You argue about who gets the last slice of pizza, but you'd never ever actually throw hands. It just feels wrong. You have too much history. You speak the same language of inside jokes. And honestly, it's just too much effort. Now, what if I told you that entire countries can be like that? That's the big idea behind something wonks in Washington called democratic peace theory. It's a fancy name for a super simple concept. Countries with governments that look like ours, with voting, a free press, and the right to complain loudly on the internet, almost never go to war with each other. It sounds too good to be true, right? Okay, so why is it that democracies get along so well? It's not like they're all holding hands and singing Kumbaya. The French and the Americans still argue about wine, cheese, who's more arrogant. But they don't settle it with tanks rolling through Paris. There are three big picture reasons that policy nerds point to, and they're actually pretty simple. First up is the idea of shared norms. Think of it like a shared rulebook for how to behave. Talking, debating, eventually compromising. You don't like a law? You protest. You don't like your leader? You vote them out. This culture of peaceful conflict resolution gets externalized. Leaders from democracies see other democratic leaders as reasonable people you can negotiate with. Second, it's all about the people. And you know what voters hate? Pointless, expensive wars. War means your kids might get drafted. It means your taxes go up. A leader has to sell war in the bright light of public opinion. All right, let's start with the easiest case study on our ladder. The slam dunk. The relationship between the United States and the United Kingdom. These two are the OG besties of the democratic world. It didn't start that way. The British literally burned down the White House. But since both became stable, modern democracies, war is laughable. They perfectly illustrate all three pillars of the theory. Shared norms, similar legal systems, language, and worldviews. They call it the special relationship for a reason. Constantly talking, sharing intelligence, coordinating policy. Even disagreements are resolved through tense meetings, not fleets. Voters and trade. Deep ties make war an economic cataclysm. Free press, opposition, public opinion make war a non-starter. Two mature democracies, shared history, integration, easy mode. When conditions are right, democratic peace isn't just theory, it's observable fact. Now let's climb one rung up the ladder, France and Germany. For decades they were sworn enemies. Franco-Prussian War, World War I, World War II, three devastating wars that tore the continent apart. Peace would have sounded like a sick joke in 1940. After utter devastation, something radical happened. Both rebuilt as democracies. Visionaries linked values to interests. They tied coal and steel under a shared authority to make war impractical. The seed that grew into the European Union. Laws harmonized, borders opened, economies woven together. Enemies to twin engines of European integration. History is not destiny. Peace can be built, brick by brick. It's complicated. India and Pakistan. This is the hard case. India is the world's largest democracy. Pakistan has had recurring democratic periods. And yet, their history is conflict. 4 wars, countless skirmishes, both nuclear-armed. The theory applies to stable democracies facing stable democracies. Pakistan's democracy has been fragile. The military wields immense power. Kargil was driven by the military while civilians pursued peace talks. Partition trauma, identity, and Kashmir keep tensions hot. Voters can become an accelerator for conflict. Economic ties are minimal. No interdependence break. This case shows the limits of the theory. Unstable democracy, rivalry, and no trade can drown out peaceful pressures. The glitch in the matrix, when the theory breaks. The theory looks pretty good, especially with easy cases. But let's get real. there are flaws. The most glaring is the 1999 Kargil War. Both had elected governments, yet they fought a brief, intense war. Over 1,000 soldiers died. It looks like a direct violation. Defenders argue Pakistan's military called the shots, democracy in name only. Others debate thresholds, 1,000 battle deaths. Feels like moving the goalposts. Then there's the deeper critique. Democracies fight differently. Covert ops, coups, proxy wars. From Iran in 1953 to Chile in 1973, is that peace? Maybe they formed a club that avoids intra-club war but fights outside it. That makes the theory less hopeful, more about power politics. But is it really democracy? Or is something else going on? One strong alternative: shared interests. For decades, democracies faced a common enemy, the Soviet Union. Alliances like NATO bound them together under a nuclear umbrella. After the Cold War, interests diverged. More squabbles emerge. Another explanation: capitalist peace. Rich states avoid war. Complex economies, high living standards. War is bad business. They're too busy getting rich together to fight. It's probably not either or. Democracy is part of the mix. Shared values, common enemies, deep trade, all matter. Democracy is an ingredient, not the whole recipe. The truth is murkier. Multiple forces combine to lower the odds of war. Okay, so what's the takeaway? If we're policymakers or engaged citizens, what do we do? First, avoid being naive. Transitions can be war-prone. One election isn't a cure-all. Democracy promotion is long-term. Build press, courts, civil society. Fund journalists, train judges, support organizers. Second, double down on the and. Democracy and trade, democracy and institutions. Support democratic development and lower trade barriers. Encourage investment and forums to talk things out. In hard cases, include cultural exchange and back channels. Peace is slow, unglamorous work, building trust where none exists. So, from the US-UK bromance to the India-Pakistan rivalry, what's the final verdict? Do democracies avoid war? A qualified but powerful yes. Stable democracies are incredibly unlikely to fight one another. As close to a law as we get in human politics, shared values, accountability, and economic ties reinforce peace. It's genuinely hopeful. But it's not a magic cure-all. It doesn't stop covert action, proxy wars, or conflicts with non-democracies. It breaks under unstable democracies, deep hatreds, or thin economic ties. Democracy helps, a lot, but not in a vacuum. It needs trade, alliances, and conflict resolution. Peace has to be built and maintained. Democracies don't automatically create peace.